Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello, how are you? Sorry, I did things a little out of order by accident. Let me know if everything looks and sounds okay. Oh, this is in the wrong spot. Meow. And let's see. We'll put you here, and you're way over here. What else am I missing? Anything else? Hi, Ursula. Hi, Barbara. How's it going? So the rug stuff arrived. Hi, Ray. A little overexposed, isn't it? Let's see. This is the rug, the paintable rug stuff, but I didn't bring a brush to work. Gosh, I just keep failing at this. I feel like it's the sewing fairy trying to tell me something, you know, but I refuse to believe that. Hi, Walter. Hi, Elena. Nice to see you guys. So, anyway, as soon as I bring a brush in, I'll probably just do an impromptu stream, so just watch for that. Thanks, Beverly. I'm glad to hear that. I love it when you guys tell me that. And hello, how's it going? So, I'll do that maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. So, I will, you know, just watch for it, and it'll be probably a really short stream, and then it'll be uploaded so everyone can check it out. I really want to use those rugs, and I really want to see them in my bathroom, but I haven't even brought them in my bathroom to see what they look like. And they're here. They're sitting here. So, hi, Malin. Hi, Harmony. How's it going? So, oh, and I got some more fabric. I told you guys I've been buying a little bit of fabric lately. This is all from Blackbird. Okay, I have to say, like, Blackbird does the best job at this. This is so over and above, but every fabric you get from them has this tag, and it says all kinds of stuff. It tells you even this fabric's hashtag. Tells you the content, the width, the care, where it's from, how much you bought, what it's called. Yeah, I just love that they do that. I feel like I never want them to stop doing that, but I do feel like it must be so much work. Hi, Eliza. Oh, I hope so too. It might be a longer stream, so you never know. Because I plan on sewing the whole thing today. Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. So, yeah, so I got these three. You know me, I can't resist yarn dyed stuff. In fact, let's see. Am I waiting for one more fabric order? I am. Hi, Maribel. Is it hot? Yeah, it was really, really hot like a week and a half ago, and then it really cooled off, which is really strange here. And now it's kind of really slowly ramping up. Slowly ramping up is fine. So, yeah, exactly, Elena. I know. It's so great. Because I actually go back and look at these tags. Like sometimes I will get a message, a comment on a video, like for the Audrey jean jacket especially. And people are like, what, they don't even say anything like, hi, thanks for the great sew along or great video. They're just like, what ounces is your denim? And I'm just like, do I answer that or not? I can't help it. I have to answer everything. And then I'm like, well, you know, I'm pretty sure I mention everything about that fabric in the video. It might even be in the description, because back then I actually wrote a lot more in the description about what was in that video particularly. But I just Googled it and it was right there. Blackbird still has it on their website. So, but I could have just looked at the tag, because I still have this tag and it's sitting right there in a little bin. So, yeah. Yeah, right, Beverly. Oh, you don't, I just keep it attached to the little thing. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, anyway. All right, so what else did I want to mention? I kind of want to just get cracking, because it's going to be the whole sew along and we have a little bit. I realized at the last second that I need my serger set up and the iron. So, but that worked out. It looks like it's all going to be okay, because I just had to swap the cover stitch and the serger, and maybe I'll just leave it like that from now on. I'm kind of liking this setup. It's really easy. I don't have to move cameras anymore, but I hope the visibility is good enough on the serger cover stitch, because it's overhead. So if you guys don't like that, let me know eventually, and I'll try and figure something out, like a tripod. I could buy a tripod. I have one, but I need one always kind of separate. So, all right, so let me set that aside. I don't know when I'll get to this. This right here, you guys, this like makes my heart sing. This yarn dyed plaid. I know this is not for everybody, but these two colors, which is hilarious, is these are my high school colors too. I was a jackrabbit. Okay. All right, so this is the top you designed. I mean, I know I had already color blocked it, and I kind of said, oh, I want to do a color block top on this, because I'm trying to use some of the elements from the active sewing book that we're sewing from this week. And I had different lines, and so it was kind of fun. You guys adjusted all my lines, and then we're also adding the pleated sleeve ruffle that I'm going to kind of do on the fly. And then I'm going to worm that pink stripe in there. And I'm glad someone said, oh, now that I see that pink stripe in the photo with the fabrics with real lighting, you can see why that pink stripe works really good, right? So, oh, that's nice, Elena. I haven't gotten to order from them yet, but I would like to. I refer people to them because I know they have the that golden bowl denim that I used for the Dawn jeans. So if you don't want to get the whole box from Needle Sharp, you can get just the denim from her. And she's kind enough that she always, when she sees me tag, she actually will reply and tell the person exactly what to search for on her site, which I think is so smart, you know. Yeah, I think that's going to be great. So, okay, that's interesting, Beverly, because, so you like it over here. I just moved it because, I don't know why, there's something about it over here. It looks cluttered to me. But I totally agree with you. I know, I'll put my face back. Imagine just leaving it like that the whole time. Oh, there's 30 people here. Nice to see you all. You don't mind it covering that? See, okay, so now I need to move this over a little bit. See, we need like a really nice camera person to be here. Yeah, I am not surprised, Malin. I did reply to you. So so Zuzi apparently has been watching enough of my videos to know that when I scold people to say, you know, if you want a faster video, you can do all these things so you don't have to hear all my boring stories about my great Aunt Tessie. So she's watched enough of my videos to hear me say that. And she said, because I was kind of like, hey, you know, wouldn't it be fun to have stickers? Like, I really need that to do. But she said, Great Aunt Tessie Club. I was like, oh my gosh. And so the Great Aunt Tessie phrase comes from Harry Potter, because it's when this moment when Ron Weasley gets dress robes from his mom for a formal dance that he doesn't know is going to happen. And then he sees them and they look ancient and they're ruffled. And he's like, they look like my Great Aunt Tessie. They smell like my Great Aunt Tessie. So that's what that's from. It just popped into my head because I've watched those movies and read those books so many times that certain phrases just kind of come out of my mouth. Sorry. So yeah, Great Aunt Tessie Club. You're here for it. Okay, so this is my plan. I'm going to, where did I put all this piping? So here's all my pieces here, and I put them in order because I did end up cutting a bunch of flat fold piping, but just basically a little edge. And I cut it 1/2 inch plus the finished width I wanted it to be, which I actually allowed 1/4 inch for my finished width, thinking that if I was inaccurate at all, I had a little bit of room, because I would really like it like 1/8 1/2 inches. I know that's not a real measurement, but you know what I mean, like somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 inch wide. So let's see here. So yeah, so this is, you know, about how I want, and that would just kind of stick out from the edge. And I kind of want that in that long horizontal seam going across the chest. I want it coming out below that. Oh, see, this one I switched to. I switched all of this literally while I was late. Let's just move it all over here. Meow. So this long horizontal chest seam, and I was thinking the seam between the sleeve ruffle and the body of the garment. What do you guys think of that? Yes, yeah, it's 3/16 of an inch, but sometimes, Barbara, I have been dealing with measurements and 16ths and 1/8 for so long that I don't mean to doubt you guys at all, but it just became really commonplace to not use 16ths because it really scared people for some reason. So who complained about bird talk in the comments? Did they really? Oh my gosh. I just block it all out eventually. Well, I think, like, you know, Great Aunt Tessie Club, just keep sewing, because that's what they say, right? What do? You sew. Yeah, I don't remember the bird talk thing. Is that when we're talking about Mrs. Necro's adorable birds? Well, we're talking about birds now. So, fraction phobia. Ding! Yes. And so, like, as a designer, working in a design room with other designers, you talk about all kinds of measurements all the time. It's not a big deal. Just a number to us. No big deal, right? And we would sometimes say a skosh, or a smidge, or 1/8 1/2, or 3/16 of an inch. It wasn't a big deal, right? But then you get into a meeting with people who aren't designers, and you start talking about 16ths, when they're like, I'd really like it about just this much. And you're like, you know, you're saying, oh, okay, well, let's measure that so we know exactly what you want, and we do exactly what you want. And then when you say that number, they get a little like, ugh, you know. Or if you start saying, oh, this measures 35 and, you know, 5/16, they're like, can't we round it? Can't we round it to the nearest quarter? And you're like, well, sometimes that doesn't work, you know. Yeah, see, well, yeah, right, Malin, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think you have that problem in metric. You don't have that problem in metric, right? So, hi, Terry. How's it going? Carrie, tell us about the birds. Yes. Well, Mrs. Necro has the cutest Quaker parrot, and she shows pictures of him in the Facebook page. And he talks, kind of. He might talk. So we're all kind of waiting. He's really cute. He's super cute. So we've talked about him. I talk about chickens a lot too sometimes. I don't even have them anymore. So anyway, that and when I used to have clients too, same thing. They would say things like, "Oh, I want this measurement, and we want it to grade 3/8 of an inch," and then eventually you're going to get to a 16th in there sometimes, and they don't like that. They want you to round the numbers, so that's why I say 1/8 1/2. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So let's piece together my flat fold. So is anyone else doing sewing weekender through the fold line? I signed up. I've already watched 3 of the master classes today. All right, so I just cut it straight across, and my finished width ended up being, yeah, 1.5. So I made it 3/4 and then folded in half. I did cross cut, so selvage to selvage. So this is the length grain. And I'm just gonna cut this so that I can piece it together really easily, and then we're gonna fold it in half and iron it. This is the easiest way to do it. We're gonna cut the same angle on all these, and we're gonna do the same thing at this end. Make sure it's not twisted. And we went this way. You do the same exact angle. See, so this one's like this. Do the same thing. It's very logical when you look at it like this, right? So you need the same exact angle at each end. Wait, is one of these twisted? No, it's just not fitting in there. All right, now we can piece this together really quickly. Oh, nice, Elena. Yeah, I kind of thought it was surprising that it was kind of hard to find out exactly. And then all of the content, Eliza, is available at any time of day you want to watch it and beyond. So it's all pre-recorded. It's interesting because they have it on YouTube, and I wonder how secure that is, because I have found that people can find your content even if it's private on there. So far I've watched one on how to add ruffles a few different ways by Nina Lee of Nina Lee London. Wait, am I saying all that right? I watched a really cool Bargello scrunchie making thing, which was kind of cool because I didn't realize I didn't know what Bargello was. And that it actually made me want a scrunchie, which I have. It's been a long time since I wanted a scrunchie, people. I also watched one. I didn't watch this one all the way because I don't own the pattern, but how to turn the Zadie jumpsuit into a wrap dress. And then they're unlisted, but you can still find things like that. I'm kind of curious if someone shared one, if they could see it. Because I've had that problem with mine. And then there are also chats that you can watch between a few different makers. I think there's 3 different chats. So one of them is like the Sew Over 50 gals, which I'm really looking forward to. And then there's a behind the scenes with Kylie and the Machine I haven't watched. And then there's like 3 others I haven't watched yet. I can't remember what they are. There's also a podcast in there, and there's also 3 Zoom sessions going constantly. Oh, intro to historical costuming. Yeah, exactly. I think the whole premise behind it, Eliza, is that you are making a garment during the weekend and kind of watching all the fun stuff. So, yeah, the maker chats. That's the ones where they're like between like a few different people. All right, so let's iron this. Oh, cool, Malin. All right, let's see here. Did I switch the camera? Yeah, I did. I was like, I don't remember doing that. It's so easy now. All right, so I'm just going to pre-fold this in half. I'm not putting cord in here, so it makes it very easy to do. Yeah, right, Elena? Exactly. You know, the other funny thing I've learned is if I say I have a video that I've uploaded, but I don't want it to be public quite yet. This is awkward because I'm right-handed. I'm going to do it the other way. I love how I was just about to go the other end. I'm going to go the other way. No, that is what I was just doing. Huh. how can I do this so the cord doesn't bug me? I think the cord's just gonna bug me. The other thing I found is like, say, like one time my design and manufacturing video, I had made one, but I didn't want it to go live quite yet because I had other things and I just didn't want people to be like, enough with the content. And so, but I put it in its playlist already. So I put it in the design and manufacturing series playlist, but I hadn't launched it. And people started liking and commenting on it, which was surprised me because those videos don't do very well. They're just really for my own sanity. And then I had to Google it and I learned that, yeah, if you put it in a playlist, it is visible. It may not be visible if you go to a YouTube channel's content, but if you go to their playlists, you'll see other videos. You can even see videos they deleted. It's really weird. YouTube is such a funky platform sometimes, you know? You got to outsmart it. But I don't see anybody seeing like my how-to videos. And see, the reason I use YouTube for them, because I really like Vimeo, and I even paid for Vimeo this year, but I'm not even utilizing it. The thing that's great about YouTube is that there's subtitles. And I really find that that's really valuable. And closed captioning. Not everybody can hear very well, or maybe like me, they're blow drying their hair watching a video, or they're watching in bed and they don't have headphones handy. Whatever the reason. There's a lot of really good uses for closed captioning and subtitles, or maybe it's not in the person's language and they would like it translated. Yeah, right, Elena? Yeah, you seem to know enough about it too. Exactly. Yeah, I had to kind of dig deep to find out, how is this happening? It just made me doubt everything private I had on there, you know, which isn't very much, but it made me more concerned about the videos I had just uploaded that were how-tos included with a pattern I'd sold. And I was like, well, I don't want, you know, these people paid for it. All right, here we go. Here's the tail end. I notoriously, when I do this kind of stuff, this flat fold, I will make it with 1/4 inch seam allowance, even if my garment is 1/2 inch or 5/8. And what happens is I don't get a very even edge, but I tell myself like, well, you don't want all this extra. If it helps you maintain your seam allowance, absolutely add the extra, you know? Okay, so I've got all my pieces still here, and we're gonna sew our, I'm really making sure I don't get anything confused. All right, so we're gonna sew because I'm adding this cord, I'm gonna sew the top half of the front and the back. And then I'm going to add the piping, and then the side seams, and then I'm going to add the cording. Where's my pincushion? There we go. Oh, really? Oh, is that new? Nice to see you, Beginner's Needle. Is that new? Because they have been talking about something like that, and I was kind of like, huh. So that's interesting, because I think that is one failing of Vimeo, is that they don't offer the closed captioning. You have to pay a service to do it. And I'm just not there yet, you know? The thing about paying a service, though, you guys, is that it's more accurate. Because I was watching some of those Sewing Weekender videos, and some of the words it was substituting were kind of like, huh, that's interesting. Wonder what she just said, you know? Because it wasn't that, you know, it was some weird word like beep or something, you know? All right, so I'm kind of being cavalier here, but you want to stay on your seam line when you're doing these curves and you're matching up. I got a little bit off there because I wasn't really paying attention. So we have our top here. Look at that. So did the closed captioning stay on there? Oh, okay. So you can have YouTube generate the closed captioning and then upload the file it generates to the platform. Interesting. Yeah, right, Elena, exactly. And that makes sense because they want them to be accurate. I want mine to be accurate, but I don't pay for it. Yeah. Is Tina your name? Okay. I'll try and remember that. All right, so let's sew our other one. Let's sew our other one here. So we did do some curve, not just some straight lines. So, you know, when you lay, this is the thing with curves, this is the classic beginning designer's mistake, is that they'll make all kinds of cool swoopy lines, and then when they go to sew it for class, they're like, oh. So be kind to yourself. Princess seams are kind of enough. They're kind of at the limit sometimes. It's a separate file you can download. Oh. Yeah, exactly, Walter. Yeah, but it's also not very public. So there's that. The reason I don't use Vimeo as a streaming platform, because they added streaming, is I don't think I'd be found on there. A lot of people haven't even heard of Vimeo, you know? I've thought about streaming through Patreon. All right, so just make sure you're on your seam line. You're not stretching when you're sewing things like this with the curve. I have this little wrinkle here. I do have notches. And this fabric here is a little heavier than this one right here, so you gotta be careful. It's not much heavier though. It's fine. It'll be a good like anchor weight. There's my next notch. Ooh, I made that very deep, didn't I? So just try and get to each of your little notches. Keep sewing on the seam line. Don't waver on that because it will make it so that your seam doesn't line up very well. Oh yeah, I bet, Elena. Yeah, exactly. There's a big difference. I notice in a video if it's been professionally done instantly because I watch so many closed caption videos. Isn't that funny? All right, so let's overlock this seam here. Iron. Had to remember. Yeah, Vimeo is not going to have any commercials at all. It's a paid platform. So depending on how severe your curve is, if this one was the one that's going to be let's see, how do I describe this? If this curve was like this even more, and this is the side that is, you know, sticking into the garment more, and that way when you hold it, or when you hold it like this, it's going to do this kind of buckling thing here. You're going to want this piece up when you put it through your serger. It'll be a little easier. You don't really want that piece on the bottom because it's trying to creep into the seam like this, you know? So just kind of look at it and see, oh, this is creeping into this. Let's put this up top so I can watch that and make sure it doesn't creep in. Can you see this okay? I think you can. I'm just going to trim a little bit. Ooh, this thread color though. What do we think about this thread color? Let's see what I have here. I have, oof, this green is, I don't know about this. What about gray? Let's see. So the other half, I have this green. I have a gray. I think the gray would be better. You guys mind if I change my thread color? Oh, it's not going to let me. That's interesting about this machine is it doesn't let you sew with the presser foot up. Smart. That's a good move. Oh, you used to, oh, that's so cool that you guys both did that. Very interesting. All right, let's just change the, oh, wait, what did I pick? I picked gray, not green. I'm gonna get rid of these spools and get my gray out. All right. I think gray is such a valuable thread color to have because it's kind of a chameleon. It kind of blends in with your fabric if you don't have the right color. And what you end up finding out too is that all grays are not created equal. Some kind of have a green base, some of them have a blue base, some of them have a purple base. And you'll start noticing that when you think, oh, this gray is going to work for all grays, and then it doesn't. But having 3 grays is easier than having 35 colors. And I have a lot of gray from this. All my grays are from the chicken boots years. Okay. So my machine has this nifty threader, and this gives me the chance to play with it. Always watch when you're threading, especially if you're just doing the pull through, that everything stays threaded accurately. It's an opportunity for things to jump out of the tension discs sometimes, so you gotta be careful. Oh no, I forgot to tie this one off. Okay. And you don't want it to get hooked on something. All right, so my machine has this really cool threader. I don't know if you guys have seen this. All of you have seen it yet. Let me make sure. I'm still getting the hang of it. These look a little twisted, so I'm gonna untwist them a little bit. Okay, this is the left one, and this is the right one. All right. Right? Yeah. So I lower this little thing here, and it goes behind the needle, and you have to push it all the way down so that it comes forward. And it's like 2 prongs, and the needle is down the center. And you hook it in there, and then you pull it up, and it pulls the little loop through. Oops, I just pulled it out. Dang it. See, I'm getting the hang of this. Let's see. It kind of clicks in there. I keep pulling it out somehow. Sometimes it's faster not to use your threader. maybe more of a tail on each side. Let's try that. Let's see. Now I'm determined. I don't feel like I'm into the one. Oh, there we go. That feels better. Oh, you know what it is it's not. I think that's on the needle. Sorry. A lot of you did transcribing, huh? Way back order. Yeah, I just got gray elastic from them. All right, I'm giving up for now. I think I can't see if it's on there or not. It works really well most of the time. Okay, this is the one you say yeah, here we go. These tweezers are terrible. They're not very cinched at the tip, so they're not very useful. I'm going to try the other needle threader. Oh my gosh. Fine. I hope the person who bought a serger just because they saw me using that, I hope it works for her 100% of the time. Because that would be so aggravating if you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this machine because my hands have trouble threading things now. Alright. Phew, that was painful. Sorry. I also have trouble getting this on here. Phew, my goodness. Wrong pedal. All right, let's do this. Stubborn, determined, whatever. Same thing, right? You know, I'm a Taurus. I like to think of it as being determined. All right, same thing. Let's see how this one wants to lay. This one's a little flatter. Not so much danger with it changing or creeping under the needle. I probably should change my thread color too. Yeah, I agree. The gray will work better because we have on the bottom this fabric and one that coordinates with it. All right, so let's press the seam. See how this one wants to go. Now, do we top stitch these? What do you guys think? Right, Beverly? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, my tweezers that I had for my old serger were so much better. The tips came together flat for a longer distance, so you didn't have to hit that like sweet spot in order to grab what you were trying to grab. And you know, when I tell that funny story about working for the former aerospace engineer, and he wanted all the tartan plaids to match per size. He had tweezers from grabbing really small parts that were the sharpest, pointiest tweezers I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna do my bobbin. Ooh, maybe I am gonna do my bobbin. I take that back. I was like furiously making thumbnails for the stream today because I thought I'd get to do the rug thing, and then when I made sure I had everything set up, I realized I needed a brush. I was so disappointed. I scoured the entire office building because this office building is pretty empty of people, and it used to have 10 people in these offices. So, and I think they were all independent of each other. I don't really know. And this was all like pre-campfire. So when the campfire happened, you know, everyone just left Paradise because you weren't even allowed to live up here or anything. And this building made it. Ironically, it had been in a fire shortly before the campfire. And so it's like in some of the offices they haven't been redone yet, and it's like a time capsule. You open it and it looks like someone just walked out and left everything. So a lot of the drawers in the reception area, some are cleaned out, but some aren't. And so again, it's like, and it was, the fire happened in November. And so there's like Christmas CDs out, things like that. It's kind of eerie. In fact, some of the like, you know how like there's a drugstore, there was a drugstore up the street, and they had a marquee, so it would say, you know, come in today for your flu shot or something like that. And there's right now, still, they're not there anymore. It says, wait, stop, come here for Christmas gifts. We have all kinds of good stuff. So that's how this office is. It's kind of like a time capsule. And because they're kind of redoing a lot of the offices, I'm like, there's got to be a brush here somewhere. So that's what I was doing, not getting, why I'm not getting, didn't get my thread ready. I was looking through the weird stuff in this office for a paintbrush of some sort. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. The hemostats, exactly. Yeah, my mom always had a pair of those handy. All right, so let's put I'm going to put the shoulders and the underarm together. Theoretically, I did my pattern work and it's going to all match. And I think I'm going to prioritize, oh, this shoulder's a little shorter than the other one. I'm going to prioritize matching this seam right here over matching the ends of my shoulder. Because let's face it, we can kind of, you know, smooth that out, so to speak. I feel like I noticed that these shoulders were off when I was laying it out too. It was on the back of my mind. Let's try and get that to match really nice. And then we're going to add the piping. Yeah, I don't know why I lost the tweezers to my old serger right before I got my new serger, and I don't know how. I think it's just one of those weird things where it slipped under something, because it just, like, I don't lose things. It's true, they do work really good because they have a nice grabbing surface, right? All right, so this one we don't really have to worry about, but we'll do this underarm here. And like I said, we're prioritizing, well, this one we need to just match the seams end to end. And then when we attach the lower part, we're going to do it in a big circle. Kind of. It goes through the armhole on one side. So this is just the underarm of the top. All right, we're going to overlock those edges. But let's sew the bottom pieces together, and then we're going to overlock it all at the same time. Save us some time. All right, so now we have our back. I'm being so careful. And back, all right. So what are you guys working on? How many of you are doing Sewing Weekender? And what have you seen so far? What have you enjoyed? I kind of thought there was a lot more live content, and there isn't any live content. I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. Lots of sewing live streaming. And I understand why there can't be a lot of that, because it spans so many time zones. So I understand. But you know me. The Zoom, is anyone going to do any of the Zooms? Because that sounds a little bit overwhelming. Like, I can't imagine. I wonder how many people can be in them at once, you know? All right, so this is the lower half of the front. We're going to do this other vertical seam. I might be able to do the sides of this together. Yeah, because I don't have to do the shoulders. And yeah, I think I can. Let's see. Nothing crosses. Why didn't I sew what other side? Oh, sorry. I am your sewing weekender. Nice, Beverly. Are you using that video I did last summer? My only feedback, because I have 2 pairs, is the pair I made on camera, the canvas. That canvas was too thick for that elastic. And the other pair I made was a tencel, and I love those. They were awesome. But other than that, I felt like my rise went up like this too. So watch out for that. That might be a fit thing. All right, now I'm doing this underarm here. I don't understand the underarm seam. Didn't I do the underarm seam? I did. Yeah. I'm going to overlock all of it now. So now I have 2 separate pieces. I have this bottom thing and I have the, see, so I have this bottom thing. Ooh, I don't know which one the front is and which one the back is, but we will find out. Process of elimination. Oh, I think linen would be perfect for that. All right, so let's overlock these. I need to move my pattern pieces now. There's quite a few. I've created myself a little hole between my cart. Oh, I'm looking at the live stream to see. I could probably zoom in a little more. Oh, nice. You're already over it, Elena? No. What happened? That sounds like completely amazing and lovely. Anything out of Liberty, you know? All right, and then this underarm here. All right, so now we have, maybe Ray. So yeah, I'm assembling the whole top and I'm assembling the whole bottom, and then I'm going to add the piping to that seam. So that's continuous. That's probably, you just probably missed me saying that. That's all. You're keeping up. You're keeping up. Okay, so let's put our overlocking on this. You just want it to be over. Okay. You just want to wear it. So I'm doing all these seams on the lower half, just overlocking, and I'm just trimming about 1/8 of an inch off. You don't have to trim anything off if you don't want. But you know, with wovens, I like a seam and then I like overlocking. Some folks just overlock it together. That is totally fine if you want to do that. Just make sure you use the proper seam allowance, which means you'd be trimming off a lot. This machine sounds like so good. It's so good. So you look at this. This is so interesting when you see how the fabric, what dominates and how this one's pushing that way. That's so interesting to me. So let's serge it with the right side on this side. side seam here. Did I miss any? I think I missed one. Nope, I got them all. All right, so let's iron this. Yeah, it ends through the sleeve on one side. So that also, whoops, that is also, whoops, why I don't have to do one side. So you can see, like, it goes through this. This is the sleeve edge right here, or, you know, armhole. And on this, and it ends on the side seam. This, like, nanny Euro gauze. Ooh, what's that? Aw, thanks for subscribing, Fanny. I think that's what your name was. Yeah, Fanny. All right, so this goes like, I can't tell my front from my back until I lay it on here, but here we go. So let's put this inside out. I'm going to triple check it too. Oh, you know, the other thing that makes it obvious is that this is the sleeve end, so I know it goes to that side. I'm going to slip it in here. And we're going to start at this end here with the piping. And what's kind of nice is that the piping has a, I'm just going to put it in a nice little circle. So I have sewn, I know for a fact I've sewn over miles of binding and trim like that. And I know that this little tip seems like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's kind of like crazy making to kind of wind up your stuff. And then an easier way to do it, to make it nice and flush, is to do this. Lay it flat on the counter and then turn it around like this. And you'll get a nice flat, you know, roll. Only the outer edge of mine will be flat. I highly recommend, especially if you find doing stuff like this, like trims and binding and stuff like that, a little bit fussy. This is such a gift to your sewing self to do this, because then you're not managing this whole long thing kind of trailing off your table. The other thing is that almost always gets caught, or it causes tension and pulls against your work or your needle, and that's not a good thing. You don't want your, you know, needle to bend at all or get pulled at all, because then it can break. So, oh, from France. Welcome. I'm in California. So my machine has a rest at the back. So you see this right here? This I added. This is a whole long story of how this worked and stuff like that. You don't have to have this, but if you have an industrial machine, you have this pin, and it's so that when you tilt back your machine to check the oil and stuff, it can rest on that. But it makes a really great binding holder, like this. See that? And so the reason I have the wood disc is so that it elevates it a little bit, because at one point our rolls were really, really big, and they were rubbing on the screws of the table and bumping into the cords, and then it would cause drag. And what would happen is, going through our machine, it would go really easily and then go jump, because it would get stuck, and then the tension would pull it, and it was really dangerous. So I recommend putting it in a little coil, and then if you can put it on like a soup can or something to kind of hold it, or even just putting it right here and managing it, I think it just makes it so much easier, and then you're not like as frustrated. So, all right, so let's put our piping in here, and it's gonna just line up to all these raw edges, which is really great. So it's kind of nice that my piping can go through the edge. I don't have to do it in the round. So that's kind of fun. Makes it a little easier. I don't have to seam it together and make it continuous. All right, so I'm going to stick to my 1/2 inch seam. It's going to be wider than I think. I think I'm actually going to be precise, and it's going to be a 1/4 inch wide, and I don't know how I feel about that. Let's look at it after a few inches. Is that how wide we want that? That doesn't probably look very wide to you guys, but it's pretty wide. What do you guys think? Terry, that fact that you found that pattern for your son's slacks is so cool. And you were so tickled. I loved it. I loved reading that. So if I wanted it narrower, I just trim along that edge, or I try and like eyeball it. Maybe we want it wide like that so it's really noticeable. I mean, I'm in the pink stripe camp, so I feel like I can't be trusted with this information. You don't hate it. All right. Words of endorsement have never been better. I feel like when it's something I don't hate, like that's where I start, it ends up becoming something I love. You know what I mean? Because there were sometimes some fabric groups that I bought because I knew my customers would like it. And I was like, it's fine. I don't really dislike it. I couldn't do anything I hated. But there were some that I was just like, it's okay. And then by the end of the season, I was like, I love this. All right, so I have some notches that match to the seams. That's kind of the only guidance I gave myself when I was making the patterns. But it's a really simple, straightforward way to know where to notch. I'm going to kind of pin this together right here so that I maintain this. This right here, this Nanny Eero is like a gauze. And this is, it's like a lightweight batik. And this right here is like a Essex linen. So there's a lot of different fabrics going on here, if you get my drift. Right, Eliza? And we want pink impact, right? Okay. Trying not to pull anything. I'm just trying to kind of make sure I look at my junctures and make sure I'm matching them up. I actually don't know what is the front and what is the back right here, but because of the thickness and I don't want my piping to get too thick, I'm just going to split the difference and put my seams one way or the other. This is the, pretty sure this is the side seam. You say thinner. I said pretty wide out loud same time as you. Did you? It's funny because I sometimes doubt my sewing ability, and that's why like I cut this with the full seam allowance, because I was like, you know, Sarami, if you don't use the proper seam allowance, it'll be wiggly. It won't be even, and it'll be really thin in some places and wide in others. And then I was like, okay, yeah, so you're not very good at, you know, sewing things together. So make sure that you give yourself like another 1/8 of an inch buffer. Apparently I didn't need that. My side seam is not matching up right now. I'm trying my best here. I may have to adjust that. All right, so where's my other notch? It's right nowhere. It's right nowhere. Okay, here's a notch for this one over here. So when I see these notches, you see how it's going straight down? So this is my seam line right here, okay? There's my notch. So technically this notch is going to this point right here on the seam line. And so when I go to line up the seam, I want to match that point to 1/2 inch on this seam here, right? Like right there. That's what that's what notches mean, you know? Okay. Oh, there's my notches right there. Okay. I have double notches. I need to ease a little bit of this in because I got a little off track. The double gauze is like, this is nice. Let me just relax. And the batik is like, no, I don't want to. The batik is so tight, you know? Batik is such a tightly woven cotton. You put it with the gauze, and the gauze is like, dude, you need to chill, you know? A little fussy with all these fabric types, but it's going to be splendid. You could even pin all this. Sorry, I'm not pinning it. All right, so let's get this pinned out here. I'm just kind of pinning it away so I have room to put my binding down. I mean, my piping. You see I pull this away, and it's because I'm trying to keep my raw edges lined up. That's all. It helps to keep it all lined up that way. Oh, man. This gauze needs to, you know, this gauze needs to be a little more uptight, and the rayon needs to chill out a little bit. All right, we're almost to the end. Yeah, right, Nancy? Hello. How's it going? Hi, Sweet Pea. How's it going? Did you get anything good? We all shopped, you know, vicariously through Sydney the other day. It was fun. Okay, so remember that that's your juncture when you're going to line up these edges that point out like that. So remember, this is your 1/2 inch seam, and this is your 1/2 inch seam like that, right? So line up that right there. You don't line up your raw edges. It won't work. Then you'll have this big old fat gap between on your side seam there, like, you know, a big jog. So you know what, Nancy? The orange Crayola washable marker that I drew on my rugs didn't wash out. And that was just quilting cotton. Isn't that crazy? So after all that, my rugs have marker on them. I can't believe it. All right, so I'm gonna snip this like this so that it all lines up. Hopefully that goes that way. Oh, good. Oh, cool. I saw you guys talking about that alternative. That's true, Barbara. That's such a good point. So even though, that's why I'm not stressing about those mismatched seams. I know you guys want to see it. Is because it covers up the piping covers. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I added that. I didn't choose these. These came to me with the book from Sonia. All right, you guys, you got to admit, the pink brings it all together. It wants to push up. Could I make it push down? I don't know if I could. Let's see. I think I could top stitch it so it went down, but it wants to push up naturally. So I might just go with that. Here's the back. See, and our seams match at the shoulder, so they kind of match at the shoulders. So you have this transition here, you have this transition here, and that's why we color blocked it like that, so that we had these continuous lines. Oh, that's a little bit of a tuck right there. Let's see if we can get this better right here. We don't want tucks. Yeah, right? I'm telling you. Just run it through the wash again, try hot water. Oh, okay. I did have a blue that didn't wash out at first, but then I ran it through again with hot water and tried to turn. Okay, so maybe I just need to focus on it when I wash it. Okay, I just threw them in the laundry and washed them. I did put them through the dryer though. I'm so glad, Esme. Welcome. Nice to see you. Nothing like nice piping. So I don't see this tuck on the other side, on the side. Where's this tuck right here? Oh, it's not the, oh, it's the seam line. Okay. Let's just take this out right here and get this in better. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I think I'm going to press the seam allowance the other direction because it won't matter since they don't match up. And then I can stretch it. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's, there you go. Drink. All right, so I'm going to overlock this, and then we're going to top stitch it. Get the iron away from me here. It really helps that we had this seam go through the edge of the sleeve. Kind of gives you a good starting and stopping point, but you could do it in the round too. That would be fine. Make sure nothing is, I kind of wish I would have done it the other way up because this is so dominant. Hi Anita, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Or is it Anita? I'm looking on my phone over in this camera. We had a lot of junctures of piping there too. All right, getting out of these trickier areas. Okay. I do love this pink piping too. All right, let's press it a little bit and then we'll top stitch it. This gauze is going to be a problem. That's a little wide right there. An ironing board would be so much easier for this. The top looks really roomy. All right. Let's see here. I could have just top stitched it. If you guys weren't watching me, I would have top stitched it without ironing it first. But it is kind of a good way to kind of start looking, okay, did I make any boo-boos when I was sewing that seam together, because I was kind of wrangling this gauze to the really uptight rayon. The only time that this kind of flattens out is in these areas where the curve starts flattening out too. I made the large mullen. She wanted some that were in the medium and large range because all of hers are, I think, in the 5X. So she wanted some other sizes. The gauze is this one right here. It's a Nanny Eero. You can't really tell, but yeah, it's very subtle. 2 layers of fabric there. Pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. It's Nanny Eero, I know that. I think it's gauze. Yeah. See, there's 2 layers of fabric. Double gauze. Okay, so let's top stitch this. Do we want to top stitch this? I didn't top stitch anything else. So do you guys remember that you wanted the seam to go, like in a curve this way on the front, and then you reversed it on the back? Pretty cool. And then we have the facings, and we have our sleeve ruffle. All right, so the Diet Coke. I mean, you know, I love top stitching, but I'm trying to decide if that's what I would want. You know, funnily, I want to just edge stitch the piping down. Because then, remember, my thread is only one color. So, you know, like that means that, I don't know why I have this piece of thread here. The gray would just, the gray would be fine. What do you guys think? Maybe I should have top stitched all these seams if I was going to top stitch the piping. It's kind of crazy top. We still have one more crazy element to add too. Our ruffles. So I think putting these on, that is one thing. You know what? I could have left the shoulders open to do this. Yeah, I think so. Stitch in the ditch. Ooh. Maybe I could stitch in the ditch. I don't want I want to make sure that I keep it so that the seam is still pointing down. And stitching in the ditch, I find that can make the seam allowance then kind of pull this way. I think I will top stitch. We're learning. Yeah, right? We don't want it to be flapping. Hi, Sutter. How's it going? Sarah, right? Sarah? Yeah, especially because once this is washed a couple times, and I don't know, maybe it'll just end up on a sample rack. I don't really know. Let's move my piping so, because sometimes your garment will grab it and it'll unravel the circle that you spent. And I have wound so many yards of that stuff. It was rare that we would use homemade binding, but sometimes we did. All right, I'm going to turn this inside out to do this because I don't have a free arm on my machine. The gray is, oh, I think I just ran out of bobbin. I heard it. Yep, it did. Okay. Better now than later. Let's put down set up our next bobbin to wind. I wind a bobbin while I'm using a bobbin. That's how this machine works. All right, so let me sew a little bit. Get the fabric or the thread vomit on that. At least that's in the underarm area, my start-stop there. The gray thread is going to be a nice chameleon, I think. I hope. I am very much not even on my piping, you guys. Oh, why did I start at the underarm? I knew I had a edge at the the sleeve. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right, well, we'll just start it back up again here. It's hot. Oh. It's only, oh, well, maybe that's not only, but it's 79 here. Doesn't feel like it. It's been pretty cool. My piping width is all over the place, you guys. Did I ever say I was a couture sewist? No. Too much time wrangling the nanny arrow. All right. Let's get rid of these start-stop threads on this side. Oh, okay. So I really wanted to pleat this where I kind of did it on the fly, and we finished it off of the edge. That way we didn't have to do all the math involved. And I'm going to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is, how could I figure this out? So I don't really want to do the math. I'm trying to show methods where you don't have to do a math. I could take out my shoulder seam and then just do it like that, but it means that I could do the underarm seam too. Why don't I do that? Because I feel like not necessarily, you wouldn't necessarily be doing a pleated sleeve ruffle on a color block top every time. So I could just take out this seam here and show you my method that I want to do. And it's real similar to how I did the sagebrush dress that I did. You're the only person that was miserably. That's so funny. Oh, it's humid. Oh, 3-second thunderstorm. Gotta love that. Yep, you're alone, Nancy. It's not, oh, Nancy, you're back east. I was gonna say it's not humid where you are, but I don't actually know that. It's not humid here. So you could absolutely figure out the math, right? Figure out your circumference. Remember I taught you, I kind of told you like, okay, figure out your circumference, figure out the depth of your pleat, figure out how many pleats you want, and then you do your math, right? But it's really nice if you can just pleat up your fabric flat on the go, you know? Just sew it on the go. But then you need to leave yourself a way to put it in the round. So that's now what I'm kind of thinking about. This is what I would just do this. Just sew it on like this, flat. And then how did I do that on the sagebrush? Oh, because I had a center front opening. That's what made that so easy to do. So you know what we'll do? 1, 2, 3. We're going to do a little bit of math here. Do I have a... I don't have a tape measure here. I thought I had a white one. My green one's at the pattern table, the white one's at my cart, usually. So let's see if we can figure out an easy way to do this. but still be not too mathy. Yeah, exactly, Barbara. We've been like talking all about stuff like how badly we'd want air conditioning in, you know, when we have planned power outages and stuff, because we're getting a backup generator right now. And it's like, well, if you plan on doing laundry and your air conditioning and you're out for 8 days, you know, like how long can it last? It's like these weird questions. Like I'm not luxury bound. Like I'm not like, oh, the air conditioning has to be on all the time. Like a fan works really good in my opinion. Yeah, is it nicer with AC? Of course. And when there's planned power outages, there's sometimes also a fire going on. So it's not like you can wash your clothes and then just dry them outside because it might be like ashy. Could you measure their piping and adjust the ruffle to the piping and so to the sleeve? Possibly. Well, yeah. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it so that it would be a little more spontaneous and easy. So let's see. That's right. My sleeve circumference is 18 inches. So let's see here. 18 inches. And if I did like 6, it's 12. So if I did like a pleat every 1.5 inches or so, and they were 1 inch each, how many 1.5 inches can I get into 18? I think that's 12, right? I think it's 12. And then plus the, okay, so 12, so I need this about 30 inches. So let's make it roughly that plus some seam allowance. This way, let me iron that real quick. This way I have the potential to make it fairly even around. And I've given myself hopefully enough, especially since I cut it. I'm adding piping too. I'm just going to fold this in half and iron it. Sorry, I didn't put the iron cam on. That's really fast. There we go. And then we have our piping. So yeah, let's attach the piping to the sleeve. We need a piece that's 18 inches plus seam allowance for the sleeve opening. We're gonna sew it in the round. We'll do 2 of them. I'm gonna cut off this bit here since it seams and I have enough piping that I don't need it. No! My old machine always had a yardstick built into the bed of the machine. I will say it was off. Took me years to figure out. It was really off. So don't ever trust those things just because they're on your machine. You don't bright, oh yeah, Nancy didn't like the bright yellow. Yep. Nancy didn't like the bright yellow. But I am adding this piping, Nancy. Is that kind of smooth it out a little bit? All right, so let's put this on here. Line up that underarm seam, and I'm just going to tack it on here so then we know it's all ready to go. Is that the back? Yeah, that's the back. Then we don't have to worry about it either. I'm going to do it a little under the seam allowance so I don't have to worry about my stitches showing on the right side. All right, what seam is this right here? This is the shoulder seam, and it's kind of hard to tell the front from the back, I'm not gonna lie. I think that was pushing it towards the back. I hope so. Oh yeah, Hannah, I've done that. You know what I do too is if you ever accidentally cut your measuring tape and you're like, well, that's trash, I recommend saving it and taping it to surfaces because it can make a handy yardstick, you know? I got kind of off right here. Look at the seam guide, not the wrong seam. All right, so now we have our piping on one sleeve, and I'm gonna put our sleeve ruffle in a circle as well. Oh, really, Terry? That's funny. Can you remove it, or is it engraved in there? Like, I don't know how else to say it besides saying it was engraved, but it was like it was stamped into the, it was on the front here of my machine. And it was black, but it was very, very, very off. I think over about 27 inches, it was off an inch and a quarter, which is quite a bit if you're doing like straps and things like that. And you use your machine to measure things. So a lot of things we would pre-cut, but there were some things we didn't pre-cut because it was faster to not spend the time pre-cutting it and just to do it on the fly at the machine, and we would do it like as we were sewing. Just depended on what it was. Here we go. I'm looking for the bottom here. Can't remove it. Yeah. Maybe you can put something over it. I bought a new, at home I have a home machine cabinet. I don't have my home machine there. I just have the cabinet there. And so it has one of those tables in it that lowers and raises so that you can put your machine into the cabinet, shut it all up so that, you know, it's kind of, you can push it out of the way, or you can raise it up above the cabinet, or, you know, flush like this. And the clear piece of plastic that filled in the gap between my machine and the table eventually was, the little lip of it was just breaking off, and so I had to get a new one, and I found out that my local sewing store could order it for me. And so they just said, oh, what's the opening? Most of them are standard. And then what came with it was a yardstick that was like a cling. It was a cling. So it would, but it didn't cling to this. I brought it here and I was like, oh, cool, it's a sticker. And it's not a sticker, it was a cling. So it sticks to that plastic, but not anything else. But it's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You do that, you're eventually, when the newness of your machine wears off, you're going to probably be sharpening it, because I do. Okay, wait, this is the shoulder seam, this is the underarm seam. All right, so I don't think I've ever done pleated section on the fly in the round, so hopefully my idea isn't a bad one. All right, so I want to think about this for just a second, sorry. I need to make sure I don't get turned around. I want my pleats to go down visually. I want them to go like this. This is the bottom of the garment. So I'm going to pin this to here so that when it's inside out, I remember to do it correctly. You can put them however you want. They're going to go down on the, oh wait, is this the front? Oh. I want them to go down when you're looking at it from the front, like this. Hi, Libby. Oh, very cool. Building a deck. That sounds so enterprising. Yeah, and yeah, exactly, Terry. You don't want it to get sticky and grab things. I hear you on that one. All right, so this is how it looks from this side. I'm going this way, away from me, which is a bummer. So much easier when you're pleating towards yourself. All right, let's try this out. So the thing is, I'm starting at the underarm, and if it gets a little off, thanks, Ray. If it gets a little off on the underarm, it's going to be less noticeable. I'm going to turn down the brightness. You guys are crazy that it doesn't bug you. It's this one right here. Here we go. I always feel like a dentist pulling this down. You know? All right. So let's get good. There we go. There's your kitty cat. Kitty cat is so cute. It looks so like boingy, you know? All right, so let's get good at knowing what a 1/2 inch pleat looks like. And let's cover up. You know, actually, I won't be covering it up, though. All right. All right. And then let's get good at what 1.5 inches looks like. So that's about 1.5 inches, and that's where I want my next pleat to be, like this. We're not serging it, so, right, we have some leeway. I thought these would be closer together though. Have to be honest. I may have this wrong. You might want to wait till you see me finish before you start doing your own. Now I'm kind of just doing it on the fly because I want it to look a certain way. So I'm just going to do that and then see what happens. You never know. Because I was like, ooh, 1 inch apart sounds really close. But now I'm thinking, that's probably what I wanted. I could do a slightly less deep pleat and then put them closer together. Let's get rid of some of these threads here so they don't sneak out in the seam, because that's where I attached the piping. Those are just the little threads that are attaching it. All right, we're almost to the bottom already. See, now what we could have done is used, you know, Nina Lee's one of her flounce tutorials. I mean, she has like a ruffle tutorial. I didn't realize how many of her patterns had ruffles on them. They're pretty outstanding. Oh, I'm running out. I'm running out. Look at that. I've run out. I've run out. Okay. See, that's kind of what I want them to look like, though. Right? Ooh, Barbara, that's what I should do. I'm kind of going rogue right now. I may need to, I really love that. So maybe I need to add more fabric. I should have just done the math. See you, Eliza. See, isn't that look cool? Got your piping in there. So let's see. Let's just add our little section that we cut off and see if that'll be enough. We'll make it enough. And then I can also adjust some of these earlier pleats. Well, do I want to do that? They're about the same amount as volume goes. So we'll stick out the seam right here. Hopefully we can hide the seam that we're attaching this little piece inside a pleat. That's the way to do it. I should just do a tutorial on how to add pleats, but honestly, they're really complicated depending on what you're doing it on. And adding them, one method does not work all the way across the board. You have to do the math. But there is a way to logically figure out what math you need to do, and it's not hard. It just scares people, so I often shy away from showing you things like that I think are going to scare you. Or you could coffinize the bag. That sounds terrifying. I would never do that. Yeah, I should have marked the shoulder halfway point. We'll do that on our other one. This is our learning one. Decreased my seam allowances, so I gained back about a ½ inch on each seam. That's an inch. That's one whole pleat. Okay. Let's keep going. We're back on track now. Terry, right? Yeah, I think that there is definitely that voice in us that's like, ooh, I want to do that. I don't want to pay for that. And then you're like, wow, I would pay anyone to do this, whatever they asked, once you try it yourself, right? Still winging it a little bit. I'm just doing kind of shallow pleats though. I'm finding that that is enough to get the job done. I didn't need full ½ inch depth pleats. This is my seam though, and I think it's going to be kind of prominent. Let's see here. Maybe I'll do that. There we go. Hide it in there. It might not be hidden at all actually because, wait, is this the, yeah, because this is the inside. So actually, oh yeah, it'll be hidden on that one too. You're looking at the underside of your pleats, like what's going to be on the inside of your garment here. So don't forget that. I should iron this. Here we are at the beginning and we're going to make it. I'm just keep fiddling with this because I didn't iron it. So I'm missing one whole pleat here. Let's see how bad it looks before we decide we need it. There's dandelion fluff everywhere. Here it is. Yeah. What do you guys think? It's pretty cute. Where's that spot? Like, oh, is it up here? Wait, this isn't the underarm. Oh, that's funny. Why did I think I was doing here? Well, I think I can adjust these right here and add one right here. I thought it was on the underarm. That's so funny. Didn't you guys think I was at the underarm? I know, right, Libby? And I'm not. I'm on the opposite spot. I could swear I was starting at this. There's my back stitch right there. That's so funny. Okay, so let's just take out like a few here. These are kind of close. I love them, but we need to spread them out. I'm telling you, they don't have to be precise because you really aren't going to notice that much, you know. If you are going to do this a lot, like you're adding it to something, you need to make sure you have enough fabric. You're doing this as a business, you have to do the math. But on a one-time garment, and you just want to play around with doing it, I think it's fine. It doesn't look uneven. They kind of splay out. I didn't measure any of my sagebrush ones. I just measured the volume and the finished length, and that was it. And we went for it. Okay. Yeah, right, Libby? I swear we were at the underarm. Because I know that this is the fabric that's the underarm. And I know that that's the shoulder. Going crazy. Okay. Yeah, so we don't mind it smooth on the underarm. Let's make sure we don't get any of these threads that are going to peek out of our piping seam. All right. I think it's funny, like, it's really rare I go back and watch my videos, but occasionally when something like this happens and I'll go back and I'm like, you were clearly at that spot you didn't think you were at. How could you miss that? You know? Oh, I thought I couldn't see thread in there, but I was like, oh, it just matches my needle. Okay. Get all that thread out of the seam. It just makes, it takes a second, but it's worth it for later on, you know? It's a bird looking for something. Probably some like nest material. We've been having a quail at our place, baby quail. They love our property and they are this big. Turned it around when you restart. No, because I had to seam the underarm. Like that's where that underarm, that's where I attached that extra piece. But now that we're going like from the top to the bottom, maybe I turned it, maybe I started sewing from the other direction. But how could I have done that? Because I would have had to pleat it. I would have had the fabric. Oh well, whatever. Moving on. Oh, now I have extra. Now I have a lot of extra. It's fine. We'll just put it in there. That's so funny. Look at that. Pleats are so mysterious. Sonia said, oh man, the pleating kind of drove me crazy. That's when you just leave it out of the book, honestly. All right. We got it on there. I know that probably looked hard, but it was our first one, and we learned a lot. And I think it's worth it and really cute. We'll make it so that the seam allowance makes it point down like that. Right? Very shenanigans indeed. At least this time we know we won't cut this off. We'll leave it the full length. And we'll get all those pleats in there. So that ended up being an 18-inch opening, and I'm pretty sure we cut this 36 inches long. So that's a 2-to-1 ratio for anyone keeping track. Let me just sew this seam together real quick, and then we'll iron it in half too. And then we'll also double check that we don't have any threads, and then we'll overlock that seam, and it's done. Okay, and we'll mark our shoulder. Or at least somewhere close. Oh, actually, it is, the shoulder is at the halfway point. Sometimes your shoulder is, you know, it comes forward on the body. So the halfway point isn't really halfway on the sleeve or whatever you're attaching. It's kind of forward a little bit. The seam is forward a little bit. All right. So we need to add our piping to this piece, to this edge. This is a really fun garment to sew, I have to say. You gotta turn it inside out. Makes it a lot easier to sew on. And see, I start at the bottom, and I know that this is the underarm. I don't know what the front and the back is though. This is the back on the side. All right. So is everybody out of school now? All your kiddos, all your students, all your teachers, are you guys all out of school? It's pretty much done here. Congratulations, you made it through a very tough year. I was talking to my friend the other night, and you know, like I think I told you guys this, that he was pretty over. Oh, you know what? Maybe I started. Wait, if that's the underarm, this is just. Oh, that's a shoulder seam. Yeah, that's why. Okay, never mind. He was getting over his students, and that's just not like him, you know. And so the other night they had graduation. He was like, "Ah, I feel so much better. They were all left such nice comments for me, and I feel like I wasn't very nice at the end there." And then, you know, graduation happened, and I was like, "Oh, do you like your students again?" He's like, "Yeah." It was pretty funny. I was like, I don't blame you. I think everybody was a little over each other. All right, so this one, the curved one, is my underarm. And then we're going to mark the halfway point. And then we know, so your halfway point is kind of, it's going to be a little bit, how do I say this? Because it's pleated, it depends on where that halfway point hits your pleat too. You know what I mean? I don't think I folded this in half very well down here. But since we're kind of winging it, we're not going to worry too much about that. Oh, but let's see if this is the front. And if it was like this, I want to pleat the same direction as my other one, right? So I'm going down on, when you're looking at it from the front, like this. And it would be like this. So it's going toward me still. All right. Would that really be that way? It would, right? It was toward me on the other sleeve. Would it be toward me on this sleeve? Even though it's a different sleeve? That's the kind of stuff I like figuring out. All right, let's start. Toward me. Oh yeah, because it was away from me on the other one. Okay, cool. That is the opposite. All right. Which makes sense, because if this is the right side of the garment down here, and I'm pleating under, that's pointing down, and that is the right side. So we're good. A little awkward at first when you have all this fabric here. So just focus on the seam that you're sewing on, just that little bit. You could even pin all this, you know, evenly distribute it, you know, make sure that you're getting your pleats more even if you want. I think now I'm being too shallow and I'm going to have too much. Right? Maybe if we make them a little deeper at the top, not at the base of the armhole. That makes more sense, as if you're wearing it, you know? Okay, there's my notch, and there's my center. So yeah, I haven't used as much as I should have. Thanks for that reminder tip. We need to make some deeper pleats now. All right, here we go. On the back side. Try and keep your raw edges lined up with one another so that your pleats don't get like lazy. You kind of want them perpendicular. You actually want them perpendicular, not kind of. You want them perpendicular. I think I'm gonna have to pleat more on the front. But when we get there, we'll just keep going. So let's see, we have this much space and this much to pleat. Oh, maybe it's gonna work out without doing anything crazy. It's kind of a big pleat though. So let's take out a little bit here of where we already started on the underarm, and we'll just pleat a little bit more on these first two pleats because we were very conservative anyway. Well, maybe not on that one we weren't. I'm kind of bummed I didn't think of bringing a paintbrush. I really wanted to finish my, oh, this is good. I can put this seam now underneath like that. Okay, and then we have that one. So let's make this a little shallower like that. Yeah, yeah. See if we can get two more. 1, 2. There we go. Sure we don't have any weird tucks. Let's check it out before we jump for joy. Make sure that looks okay. They're heavy. But I love the way that looks. It's a little bit clownish, you guys. I don't know. But it's pretty fun. I think that looks pretty good. You can see some of those pleats are deeper than others. Some of them are closer together. I just don't really think it's that noticeable. There's a lot here. Fewer here. We're a little further apart. This one's a little more even. A lot here. Looks pretty good. All right, so let's talk about our facing. So we have the facing and the hem right here. I didn't do any interfacing because I think at the time I was thinking about stitching the facing on the right side of the garment. I think that that's a little too much even for me. So maybe I need to add some interfacing to this. But the other thing I could do if I didn't want to add interfacing is still stitch it down. Winner, bold, not clown. Nancy. Yeah. The gray and the pink together are so good. Yeah, I agree. These two fabrics for me are really, I actually really like all three of these. Polka dot I really liked at the beginning, and now I'm like, I don't know. I also like this one too. Really, these three. I know Nancy's not a big fan. These three right here. These are my, I think these are all the same. Oh no, this is a Kino. This might be Noodlehead too, or maybe Cotton and Steel. Not sure. All right, so I'm going to, I don't think I've ever stitched down a facing to a neckline. So I'm going to do that since I've never done that before. Why does that have such a weird bulbous edge? That's just how it looks. Huh. That's the front. This is the back. That's interesting. One and a half. Oh yeah, it's like a quarter of an inch bigger there. So let's just trim that off. Make it more even, like that. I did the pattern piece too. Hey Flames, welcome. Thanks for subscribing. You guys, I'm really set to hit 10,000 soon. If you're not subscribed, I've never said this before, ever, on my channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm really close to hitting 10,000, which is pretty exciting. Amazing milestone. My 3-year anniversary is coming up in August. And I think I will easily hit 10,000, which is pretty exciting. All right. So I'm going to overlock this outer perimeter edge to make this easier, but you don't have to. What you could do is top stitch along the seam line and make an easing stitch, like pull the thread so that that edge kind of, I'll just show you. So do a little perimeter parallel stitch and then pull the threads all the way around so that they tighten up a little bit like this. You don't want any tucks on that edge. You just want it to be taut. And then you can fold this under really easily, iron it down, and you'd have a nice edge to top stitch down. It would be a very nice finish, especially if you ended up French seaming your whole top together. I think that that would kind of be a nice touch. You know what I mean? So let me overlock this perimeter edge, and then we're going to overlock our sleeve raw edges here. Let's make sure nothing looks amiss before we do that. And then we can top stitch this, hem, and do that. So home stretch. We've done a lot today. Facing out would be definitely circus. I totally agree. All right, you don't need to do the inside circle, just the outside circle. I should have probably done a narrower stitch. You know, I just thought that of another thing me finish this. I do this a lot. I will adjust my curve when I'm doing curves. I will adjust by just lifting the presser foot up with my thumb. Not all presser foots do this, but all the sergers I've had do. So I think you might be able to serge this instead of doing the easing stitch I was telling you about along there. You might be able to use your differential. And if you have a differential on your serger, put it so that it's drawing up, and that might actually be enough. That's very intriguing. I wish I would have thought about that before I was halfway through, you know? All right, so we have our facing. And now we're going to serge our sleeves. Get all these threads towards the raw edge. It's very thick. Compared to that little facing I just did, it's very thick. I'll probably not trim very much. It's not very necessary. Just enough to make it look nice and tidy. Oh, it's just eating it up like butter. It's awesome. This is when you hope you're using good quality thread and the thread in your needle doesn't break or something. Make sure your pleats don't sneak under. And then when we come to the beginning, we're going to go right along. I'll trim this off to show you. But we're going to keep going along this edge. We don't want to trim these little loops here. Wish they were a little tighter, but that's where I was getting going. You just want to run along this and then just keep going for like, you know, like right about there, because this is a little bit off. We might be trimming that off a little bit. You don't want to nip those with your blade, because then you'll have all these little like cut threads poking through your serging. We all know what I'm talking about because we all do that, right? Happens to me too. I'm just going to trim up some of these back stitch threads while I'm here, so they're easier to grab. All right, so I'm just running the blade along there, go for a little bit extra, and then I pull it off. And that way I'm kind of encapsulating that edge right there with the serging. Of course the stripes match on my facing. No, I don't know. I'll check. Of course they do. Would you doubt that they wouldn't? Which one's the underarm? This one is. Wait, that's the other. Oh, Barbara, can I on this one? I didn't even think about that. Does this do that? Oh, yeah, you're right. Ooh, interesting. I hope I didn't just like do something weird. It's a new machine. I didn't know I could do that. That was so easy to do too. My old machine, I would have had to open it up to do that. All these threads, nice and tidy. Make it nice and tight. That's what we're doing the serger for, right? To make it tidy. So try and get all of this, all these little threads here. That's like from the fabric. This is why I love home machines sometimes, is they do things like that. All right, I'm going to get to this point, and I'm going to do what she said. Drop my blade. Ooh. I don't know if it wants to do that. Let me read about that before I start doing that, because I may have to have the presser foot up. I might not be able to do it midway. I'm not sure. A new machine to me. Okay. All right, so let's top stitch that. Let's see if my stripes match. It looks like they do in the seam allowance. I totally plan that now. I kind of do. They're uneven though. All right, so let's top stitch the sleeve. Ray! Stop! Thank you. Of course I matched the stripes. I feel like sometimes I'm like the sewing therapy channel because for so many years people have been like hanging out with sewists that are so strict and into like perfection. And then there's some of us that are just like, just chill, you know? It's different for all of us. You never know. And done is pretty stellar compared to perfect, so. All right. So in other words, you probably won't see me do stripe matching on something like a facing. But I think it's cool. Aren't they great, Florentine? So I think this seam allowance is so wide, maybe if your garment, you know, would lend itself to it, stitching that top stitching a little further away, because look, it's way up here. But it looks pretty darn good. This is so lightweight. This is so thick. This right here is pretty thick. All right, let's do this other one. I thought it wasn't all the way inside out. Okay. There we go. Get rid of all these threads. Oh, look at all these threads here. This is from the fabric. These fabrics tend to be pretty thready in general. Even the batik is, even though it's an uptight fabric, there's these really fine threads. Whereas these are pretty chunky. All right, so this underarm seam is right here. Put my back stitch there. I'll do this top stitch a little further away just so we can kind of see how that acts differently. I would probably do it even more if I thought it would look good and stay in line with the overall aesthetic. You're going to go through, on this, I'm going through this seam with the piping, so just try and keep it nice and even. Thread. I've lost all my fingernails lately. Like they're just all like, you know, gotten short, so I can't grab things. How are you doing, Florentine? Here's another piping seam. I can't grab that because my fingernail. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do our facing. One pin. And let's see, it's the more scooped one is the front, this one is the back. Don't I have I thought I did a center, oh, maybe I didn't do a notch on the facing itself, but I did on the neckline. So we'll cut a little nip at the center back neck and at the center front neck, and it's kind of a nice guide so that you don't get your circle very wonky, you know? Yeah, I'm glad, Elena. You've received mean comments for not matching patches. Right, Ray? Oh, your machine knitting phase? Cool. That's pretty cool. You need a whole cardigan. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. You know, it was funny because I sometimes play video games, you know, on PlayStation with someone who will make fun of me if I'm not doing well. Doesn't make fun of anybody else, by the way. And I don't say anything. And that's, I know there's lots of ways to handle something like that, but just trust me that with this particular relationship that I've kind of navigated the best way to kind of go about it. And I remember one day there was something about something he said, and I was just like, imagine being someone who makes fun of someone else for not being very good at something. Like, for me, that is kind of the height of just poor manners, bad taste, not a very nice human being. Because essentially you're making fun of someone for not doing something, potentially because they're learning. And what does that say about someone? I have a zero tolerance policy for that. And so that's why I pick my moments with this individual. And he knows. He knows. He does it because he thinks it's funny and that it's all in good fun. But there's limits, you know. The other thing I really don't like is, and I see this being done by a few people on my timeline, and I haven't unfollowed them because some of the work they're doing is becoming really popular, and what they're doing is really cool, right? But a couple of them, they will do things like post their comments. There's two people in particular who do this on my timeline. Maybe they are doing content on TikTok as well. I can't tell where these comments, but they'll screenshot the comments, and it's all of their snarky replies to people. When the questions sometimes were fairly innocent, sometimes people are trolls. I understand that people can be kind of rude in comment sections, public spaces like that. But the thing is, I don't find that there's any path to changing that behavior if you comment back the same way. Why not treat them with kindness? If they're being, I know there's limits, you guys. I understand that. There's a time and a place to be like, see ya, bye. I'm not even replying to you, you know. But there's other moments where I feel like it's an opportunity to be a nice human being, and trust me, I get comments where I'm just like, all right, well, why do you deserve my time to explain that to you? Because I'm not your Google when it's not sewing related. And but there's other times where I know someone might be frustrated, and I've talked about that before, where they'll reply and they just get upset. They're upset because they're upset with how their sewing is going, you know? And so I think, like, when you sit there and go, okay, what I think you're saying is this, this, and this, and if that's the case, this is what I would do to proceed. And wait till a moment where you can say all that, you know, and your head's screwed on straight, rather than going, well, if you looked at my other post, you would know that this is how I got here, or whatever. And it's like, I don't like that, and I see that a lot, and I want to say something, but at the same time, I'm like, it's their content. And people are like, amen, good job saying that, creating those boundaries. I'm like, boundaries about what? Someone was really frustrated and didn't understand how to do that. They weren't saying anything mean about you or to you, you know? So, I don't know. I think about it a lot, especially with these two particular people. Especially because both of them are doing such cool stuff. Yeah, we don't have to share our opinions. I mean, you have an opinion, you have an opinion. And if people are loving what you're doing, why would you be the person to be like, oh, I don't know, that's disgusting, you know? Like, and there are people who really like drama. And you know what? Those people, both of them, they like the drama. Yeah. Oh, I missed what you said, Terry. What happened? I don't see what happened, Terry. Oh, you said with your husband when I caught one of his sports shows and they were bashing Naomi Osaka about leaving the French. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't understand anyone's what anyone is going through in any given moment, you know? Yeah, so because those people have acted like that, for me, I have them on notice. Because what they're doing is really cool, but it doesn't mean it gives them and this is the thing, you guys. I feel like I could have I would love to talk like one-on-one with people about this because I think it's really interesting. I am not, and in some ways I'm judging them, but at the same time, I have definitely felt overwhelmed when I have like 30 comments on YouTube and 25 comments on Instagram that I haven't replied. And it makes me a little bit like, you know, like, oh, I'm a little stressed. And then I feel a little snarkier. And then I think, Jeremy, what's the problem here? You don't have to reply. You can wait until it's a convenient time for you because you're actually really thankful these people are taking the time to comment. You're just overwhelmed by not responding yet, and you're worried that these people are thinking you're a bad person that you haven't replied. And then once I realize that's what's stressing me out, it makes me go, oh yeah, that is it. I don't have to reply to all this at once, just reply to it as I have time, you know, because it can take a couple hours, you know, and I really want that engagement. That's what I'm here for. I want that engagement with people. I want it to be a conversation because I think we all get better at doing what we're doing and communicating when we're talking back and forth rather than talking at you and then just saying, I don't like that. And so with these two particular people, I think that they're growing in popularity and it's overwhelming them. And so that's why I'm kind of giving them the space and the grace to understand that, okay, when to pass on a comment, when to delete a comment, when to reply to a comment, so that you're always replying politely, you know, or just move on. Or don't create the content if you're not willing for the comments or disable the comments. Yeah. Right, Michelle? Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I won't sometimes join the party chat when I know this person is in there, depending on my mood, because I'm like, you know what? I don't have to join because you know what? It's an optional thing and it should be fun. And if my play isn't good enough for them, I don't want to bring down them, so why get frustrated? Why make them frustrated? It's okay, I'll just do something else. You know, it's no big deal to me. It's like, it's okay if they want to win. That's okay. If they want to win, they should get someone that's going to help them win, you know. I have this long thread here. I don't know what this is. I think it's like when I changed my bobbin. All right, so I've attached my facing right sides together. It's a really wide seam allowance, and this is kind of why I'm saying I'm going to stitch it down because this is a really narrow facing. It's almost like a binding without being a binding. So I'm going to clip into my neck here. Yeah. It's really hard to avoid the comments. And for me, like with these people, I don't go and look at their content and look at their comments. They're actively posting screenshots and I'm just happen to be seeing it because that's their content. Their content is posting screenshots of them snapping back at people. And I'm like, it's sewing content. What's there to snap back at people for? Why are you putting it out there if you're not willing to be and to engage with them and to be polite and encouraging? Like, they're not saying anything bad. I wish I had examples, but I also wouldn't want to give away who these two folks are because I think one of them is much bigger than me. And I also don't think, like, I always, if I comment, because I really like what she's doing and I like what this other person's doing, I've stopped commenting because I noticed that even with me, I don't think she likes me. And I'm like, I don't know why she doesn't like me. And maybe I'm just reading into it because I'm scared of her. But I just stopped. You know what I mean? So and that's a really good example of if you start snapping back at people and creating the content that drives people away from interacting, the ones that are positive, what kind of community are you going to be left with? And I see this with streamers. I see this with streamer guys a lot because there's more guys who are streaming games, right? And I've seen them say, like, post on Twitter, God, my chat is so toxic, and they're so disappointed and bummed. And it's like, you know, and big time streamers who really respect what this younger streamer's doing and their gameplay will say, you know, bro, It's because of this, this, and this. They're straight up. These guys are straight up with each other. And I love seeing that kind of mentorship happen between them. And the type of, it's an opportunity, right? They're like, okay, I recognize my chat is toxic, you know? And people are like, yeah, you need moderators. You need moderators. You need to nip that in the bud. You can't let it go on, you know? And it's like, and you're acting that way in a game. So yeah, what do you expect? You know? Yeah. Snark back is their content. Right? Oh, Esme. I don't know. I'm just very, and I can be very snarky. That's the thing is like, because of my anxiety, that's the thing. I think in some people react with their anxiety in ways that makes them kind of snarky and, because I'm like, you know, I want to close myself off, right? So it makes me kind of unavailable, right? And I'm learning like, oh, and now I can see how people see me doing that. So I've learned and I'm trying to modify that, you know? Right, Elena? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think exactly a person of color has it a million times harder, you know? And it's just, and it's really unfortunate because there's not enough people bold enough in the comments to be like, hey, shut up. Don't talk to that person like that, you know? Even I worry about that. But I definitely will, if I see it happening, I'm like, that's, nuh-uh. Don't talk to this person like that. Oh, right, Michelle. Yeah, they've decided, and you know, that's another thing. I do see people, I think people are very frustrated, stressed, angry, and sometimes, right? And so then they also feel like they know better, and they're also assuming they know what you're talking about. When you're engaging with the content creator, not everybody in the comment section, and then that has people chiming in. Like one time, there was a content creator that I follow for like how to do YouTube stuff, right? So he talks about cameras, he talks about building a channel, he talks about brand deals, all these things that I actually don't do. But I find I really like him. His name is Roberto Blake. I really like his content. I think he's super straight with his viewers and everything. And he had this poll, and it was, how many cameras do you use? Oh wait, maybe it was Epos Fox that said that. Anyway, I said 4. And someone was like, you don't need more than one camera. What are you doing? Or they didn't even say, what are you doing? And I had a couple people who were like, you don't need more than one camera. You're doing it wrong. And I was like, do I even give this person the time of day? Luckily, by the time I did comment, someone else was like, there's more streams than you're thinking of, you know? And that's what I said. I was like, well, I'm not a gamer. So I can understand if I were a gamer, maybe one camera would be sufficient, but I'm not. You know, it's like, don't assume. Yeah, anxiety shows a lot of faces. Right, Michelle? That's a good reply. I like that. Yeah, right, Terry? I know. And I think that the key, I don't know what the key is, but part of the key is that I don't engage with that kind of community. And like I said, like I'm getting more and more nervous to even interact with either of these people's content. Oh, sorry. I like understitched my facing. Let me tell you what I'm doing. So I understitched my facing. I clipped the neckline. I understitched it, which means I pressed the seam allowance towards the facing. And I'm now going to, and so then I stitch it, right? So that way on this side, all of these little flanges that are clipped are pressed towards the facing, and I stitched them down. And now I'm going to top stitch it down. Now, I actually think that this is a really good time you should be ironing. I do a lot of sewing without ironing in between because of the production sewing thing in me. But this is kind of an important thing because you don't want torque lines to show on this side. So try and get this flat. If you're not even going to iron this, at least get this nice and flat and kind of pin it in a few places. We'll try and be a good sewist here. So, well, I think surely at this point it might be a top for a clown, but I'm holding out hope. No, I'm just teasing. So I have the book, The Act of Sewing by Sonia Phillip here. And so it's a book with 4 silhouettes of patterns, which are not there. Right here. You get these 4 patterns in the book. And then she has a ton of different ways you can customize the patterns into completely different looks. And so we took this top right here and we color blocked it. We designed it together on Thursday. These are the seams we added, and we picked out a bunch of colors. I'm doing a pleated ruffle sleeve, which I've already finished, and piping that doesn't have cord in it, so like a flat fold piping in between, you know, the upper seams. The author sent me all these crazy fabrics, which are really fun, and so that's where I'm at. And right now I'm doing the neck facing, which I'm actually attaching. I'm sewing it down to the shirt, which I never do. So yeah, so true, Kelly. Yeah, that is so true. And I think that, honestly, I think that a lot of these folks, when they're replying like that, that is exactly why their reply is so snarky, because they're not realizing the myriad of ways or context the person could be saying it to them. And it's such a missed opportunity because both of them are doing such really cool stuff. They're still going to grow and they're still going to become great and whatever. And I think that kind of attention and snarkiness builds another kind of community that actually grows faster than other types of communities, but they're really hard to wrangle. And I've seen so many people with those kinds of communities, and they're, you know, it's almost like the content throws you a bone occasionally, so it keeps you there because you're like, okay, yeah, this is what I like about this person, and then you have to navigate through all the other kind of negative stuff. Yeah, it's so true, Libby. And I think that, I mean, and in all honesty, there's a lot of content that I see and I'm like, wow, why is everyone gushing with praise over this? This isn't very good. But you can't really say that, you know, sometimes. Because that also sounds like, it's like almost saying what I think I'm trying not to be a troll. I'm not a troll. I'm just being like, wait a minute, why are we rewarding this kind of content? That wasn't a good project. They didn't do a good job. And, you know, they're not a beginner. They're doing this to sell you something. That's really what it is usually. They're doing this to sell you something. This isn't wrong, but I just thought I'd start over because I forgot to tell you what I was doing right there. So I'll just back it up a tiny bit so my back stitch is closer to the shoulder seam, which is where I like it. So sorry, Shirley, you came in when we were talking about something a little more intense than usual. All right, so now this is a curve, right? And I'm sewing on the inside of my garment. Remember, I pinned it, so I don't want these torque lines because I don't want there to be torque lines on the outside where the facing is sewn. When you're doing something like this, try and keep the garment as flat as possible, which means I'm letting it curve this way. So this right here is what's going to be sewn next, and that'll help. So in other words, don't keep this straight like this, because see all this? That will get built in there. So try and keep this nice and flat and straight. And just smooth it out, you know, for like 4-inch sections. You don't have to do the whole thing, obviously. This will just attach our facing. We won't really ever have to iron it, which is really nice because all the fabrics were pre-washed. The understitch is pulling the facing to the inside of the garment so that it won't peek out on the right side, since it is a contrast, even though I kind of wanted that look. So. Yeah, and I think the only way we're going to get past those kinds of situations where people are allowing these communities to be built is by saying something, but then we also don't want everyone to pile on us being like, you know, because all they're going to be like is, why are you here then? Get out. So it's tough. It's almost like I feel like we're still parenting adults, you know? I could use some parenting from time to time. I am not, I'm not above mentioning that, you know? What did Glenn say? Yeah, statement piece, right? And you know what? I have a lot of respect for clowns. So they are doing the work, man. Making us smile. All right, that was the end. I didn't realize I was already at the end. Okay, so let's take out my pins here. I didn't bother taking them out as I went so that I could just kind of focus on keeping it nice and flat. This top. Sonia's going to be like, okay. If you ever see what she wears, she loves print mixing. She didn't tell us what the rules were. Let me get rid of these backstitch threads here. Okay. These pins are just, they're just junk. They're bent all the time. Well, you know what, Terry? I feel you on that too. These fabrics were sent to me by the author of this book. This was her own fabric stash because she lives next to like Stone Mountain and Daughter. So I think a lot of these fabrics came from there. They are all cotton. I don't know a whole lot about them. I know that this is a Nanny Eero and it's a double gauze. This right here is designed by Anagram, who is also Noodlehead on Instagram. It said it on the selvage, I know that. I love this fabric right here and I would love it to have it. This right here is Akino, Echino, which is a Japanese fabric printer. And I think this stripe might either be Akino, Anagram, or Cotton and Steel, or Essex. I'm not quite sure. I need a pencil. Yeah, I hate to agree with that, but you're probably true. I really did do the great pin thing last year, didn't I? How can you tell if someone is more privileged online? Oh, interesting. Wait a minute. Wait. Oh, so true, Ray. Yeah, like reading your thought, sometimes I'll read something, I'm like, oh, that sounded kind of negative what I just wrote. Emoji does a lot to smooth the way for some of our sentiments. That's so cool, Libby. Silliness is spoken here. Maybe we need a sticker that says that. Similar results to some studies where the more privileged feel like they're slighted when less privileged receive praise or attention. Yeah, that is kind of true because a lot of folks who grow up privileged aren't used to hearing negative feedback. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we have two Terrys in chat. So Mama Said So is also named Terry. Spelled the same way, too. Is there a link to the book? Ooh, thank you for asking. Let me pull that up for you. I don't get anything if you buy the book, but I love supporting Sonia. And you're absolutely right. Let's check it out. So here is her website. She is behind the blog 100 Acts of Sewing. She's a very lovely human being. And she will definitely call out people's BS. Hi, night, Malin. Sleep well. Have a good weekend. Maybe I'll see you Wednesday. And then, here, let me find her book for you. Let's see. Ugh. Oh, I love that I wrote the act of sewing in the search when her, yeah, let's put in book. Just the word book. Come on. Stop doing that. Oh, there we go. Got it the other day by just searching in the term book, but now it's not. Oh, wait. Oh, it's not coming up. Oh my God. Shop. Oh, I think because I was on her blog. Okay. Sorry. I gave you a link to her blog. I'm really glad you can't see my bad spelling here. Here we go. I found it. I found it. Oh my goodness. Here we go. I know a bunch of you guys have bought the book, which is pretty cool. Here you go. It's really fun. There's so much you can do in the book. Like if you're kind of interested in doing some pattern drafting, you want to dabble in that, I highly recommend it. There's so many really great applications and treatments and neckline finishes that you can do that are, and she has a really good way of explaining things that aren't so bogged down with like industry lingo and speak. So this is the, wait, I keep scrolling down. This is the top we designed using the top design from her book. We added all the color blocking, the pleated sleeve ruffle, and the piping. And then here's the book. And then the top pattern, so the 4 patterns you get in the book, I think they come in a lot of sizes. I just had them out for you guys. I just saw them too. Here we are. I drew these myself. So these are the 4 patterns you get, and this is the one I used today. And then next week I'll be making this one into a sleeveless button down the back, pin tucked front, bottom ruffle. So, all right, we just need to hem this, and let's do something simple finally, and just do a rolled hem. And then it's done. I'm going to start at the side seam because I like starting my back tacks at the side seam. I think this is a pretty narrow hem, so we'll keep it narrow. I'm just going to fold it like 3/8, 3/8. I don't actually know what the hem allowance is. I'm not too worried about it. Could do another hem treatment. Get all these threads out of here. I think I might try it on. I have my dress form behind me. I don't really want to take off my shirt for understandable reasons. Ooh, this double gauze is thready. But we can put it on my dress form, which is a custom form. I've cut the size large, and it looks like it is pretty roomy. I've made her other patterns, like the pants #1 and I can't remember the names, tunic #1 and dress #1, or dress number, wait. You guys probably would just want to like throttle me through the screen every time. I can't never remember which ones I sewed of hers. They're just so similarly named. You know? Ooh, Libby, I feel like I may have seen something in the book about knits, but in my opinion, all those patterns are wovens. I think you could sew all of them in knit. I would just size down a little bit. Yeah, the color blocking is pretty fun. So she just let me do whatever I want, and I came up with 4 proposed designs, but then I let chat on Thursday adjust all my lines and pick out the fabrics and the fabric placement. Yeah, it is. It's going to have a peplum, Michelle. Well, I guess maybe what you mean is a real peplum. I just put a wide gathered ruffle on the bottom of it. But yeah, you're right. A little peplum would be pretty cute on that one. Okay, these threads are on the gauze. People are all over the moon about gauze, but it is kind of a fiddly fabric, I have to say. I used it as binding once, and wow. My friend was like, ooh, I got some serious torquing right there. That's not what she said. I just got some serious torquing there. She was like, you're going to use binding on your tank in the double gauze? And I was like, yeah. She's like, pfft. She was right. It was a nightmare. It wasn't very even on that hem. All right, let's see what we got here. I like the little peak of the facing in there. I love the sleeve ruffle. So cool. Let's see. Where's my dress form? Oh, I didn't check if my full screen. There we go. That work? Lint magnet. That's a good point. Tell me if you can hear it. Tell me when you can. I think I got it fixed. Sound? Okay, cool. I've been switching between using the Yeti and the wireless sometimes. Like for Friday sews, I like using the Yeti. I didn't iron the hem yet. Ooh, that's a big neckline. It just went like down my shoulder. It's a really big neckline. So I didn't do any fit adjustments on this, and I probably would if it were for me, because the back, usually fabric pools at my back, you know. I have to have this issue all the time. So this is a top with no shoulder slope, and, you know, because it's got just the seam, no set-in sleeve. So it's going to be pretty easy fit, you know, not very fitted. Bueller? It looks good. What do you think? Very cute. Look at that little sleeve there. Fits pretty good. Can you tell how heavy those sleeves are just by the way they swing around? What do you think? It looks great. Didn't even fit it. Lightweight linen is so much easier, Beverly. I know. Linen, I'm so with you on the linen. You know what's also funny about the double gauze is I do get the appeal of it. It is so like floaty feeling and light. But it's so hard to iron. Like the Nanny Eero is probably not. The Nanny Eero is probably really fine. Like it's probably a really high quality. It better be. But the like the double gauze you get like from other companies, it's not that it's lower quality, but I feel like it's spongy. I feel like I'm ironing a sponge. Hi, Leslie. Yeah, easy. It's boxy, exactly. I think so too, Barbara. I think like the sleeve, that heaviness helps. I actually love that, you know. A lot of little threads on it. What time is it? Well, that went together pretty quick for all the detail we did, don't you think? It fits my body pretty good. I thought it was going to do this because everything does that on me, but this fit, it hangs really nicely. This looks like a very open neck though, because I think that that would be like right, sorry, it'd be like right here on me. It'd be pretty open. And if you wanted to make your neckline closer in, you would just draw a parallel line and continue your shoulder line for the amount that you want. And then you might have to kind of adjust the shape of the neckline. But what I would do is lay it on another pattern and line it up. So, yeah, a beginner's needle. You know, the thing is though, like there's two different kinds of double gauze. And so when people started saying, oh, I'm loving double gauze right now to make dresses in, I was like, huh, really? And it's because I only ever knew the stuff they used in babies stuff. That's really different than this. And it is great for babies, but this isn't the same, you know? They're really different from each other. I don't know why they both got named that. Oh gosh, easing the sleeve cap. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, did you see when I was trying to ease this on, it was giving me a lot of trouble, especially because this is so precise. The rayon is so, it's not rayon, sorry, but the batik is so precise because it's so tightly woven, whereas the double gauze is kind of like, I'll think about it, you know. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm happy. I hope she likes it. What do you guys think of your color blocking seams? Do you like how those seams go? Like down here. Could we have added a pocket? Lay it on the pattern piece. Wait, what do you mean, like how would you do, like bring it in? What I would do is if your pattern piece is, let's see if I can show you. Have the pieces. Trying to find which piece would have had the, here, this one. Can't barely scooch on my rug. I put all this really nice, like real floor padding under it so it would be quiet. But it's like trying to roll through quicksand or sand. A pink pocket, yeah. You know, I think the pocket could have been, oh, let's see. Over to, like coming from down a seam if you change these seams, you know? So, all right, so if you wanted to bring in the neckline, what I would do, this is the center front right here, this fold, right? And here's my shoulders. You're gonna continue this line, you know, continue your center front line, right? This is the fold. Here's your neck. So this point right here is this point right here, okay? So continue these lines and add in, you know, like for me, I could easily add in 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. And you might have to adjust it because you might want more, maybe you like the depth here, but you want it to come in on the shoulder. So then you're just gonna straighten your shoulder and then bring it in the amount you want and then smooth in this curve. I should probably show it to you like this, but yeah. So maybe you like the depth. You can just bring it in and continue the shoulder line like that. You can bring it in parallel. Maybe you want more of a boat neck and you like the width here. So then you just want to bring this up like a steady, like 2.5 inches and then smooth your curve in to the shoulder. So. It is a great group, Catherine. Okay, Ray, I'll send the top to you. You can do that. Yeah, it turned out cute. Esme, you are always so enthusiastic. I love it. You have an amazing sewing background, if I remember. In one of your comments, you told me all the things that you've done. It's pretty cool. And you are so positive and enthusiastic. I love it. Your comments always make me smile. Yeah, sure, Leslie. Yeah, if you guys, I mean, would that kind of video be helpful if I ever did like a, this is how you adjust your neckline? I feel like that's so simple in some ways that I don't want people to be like, oh, I've seen this done by a million people. That's why I just don't do those kinds of things. And haven't done any uploaded how-tos lately because I'm working on production sewing all these bags. And I'm not allowed to, because I don't make really any money from videos. So I do them because I like them, and so that's my incentive, is once my bags are done, which actually does give me some money, I will then just keep doing the uploaded videos. So thanks for not giving me, you know, some flack for the fact that I haven't had any how-tos lately. So I would like to do some pattern drafting ones, but that would be a really fun one to do, you know. Maybe we could even do it based on this pattern. I really like her patterns. They're just really great basics, good launching off points. So good, I'm glad, Libby. All right, well, I'm really sorry I haven't been able to paint the rug stuff on my rugs. Finally got the non-skid backing. I just don't have a brush. So once I get a brush, I'll bring it up here. I got my apron. I got a thing to lay down on my table. I'm ready to do it. So it might be on like just sometime randomly next week. So next week, I'm going to continue sewing things out of this book. I'm going to be doing the sleeve. We voted on which silhouettes to do. Oh, good. I'm glad, you guys. That's great to hear. I've watched a few tutorials by accident recently, and it was so interesting to see how people explain things differently. I love it. Okay, cool, Libby. Thanks. I need to hear that, because sometimes I really just think I'm so late to this whole YouTube thing that there's plenty of people who have done excellent tutorials. I don't know, Barbara, are you the one who told me to do less is more? Who was the one who's used this stuff before? It's this stuff right here. Don't you love that it's just sitting right in front of me? Who's painted this on? One of you has and was like, FYI, a little bit goes a long way. Can I use a sponge? Because I was thinking I could even use fabric. Necklines and sleeve adjustments. All right. Okay. Yeah, of course, Michelle. Oh, there's two Michelles. I just realized Michelle Waters and Michelle Strickland's here. Wasn't you, Barbara? Who said that? It was someone on Instagram that was like, just FYI, a little bit goes a long way. I was like, okay. And different hemlines. All right. Yeah, I was looking at this opportunity to do some freelance uploaded videos for a really big fabric seller. And they had the videos lumped together as all the same thing, like as far as I think rates go. And I was like, a fabric haul video or a how-to? Well, shoot, I like doing how-tos, but telling you guys, that takes like 10 times longer than a fabric haul video. So, oh yeah, I like the way she explains things, Terry. In fact, it was one of hers recently that I saw because it auto-played after watching a Friday Sews video. I really like the way she explains things. I like, too, that she just shows her body, real bodies on her stuff, too. It really drives the point home. All right, well, I'm going to head out, you guys, because I have to finish my production sewing for the week. So, well, that's great, Harmony. Thank you. That's nice of you. I'm going to start blushing. I blush really easily. Oh, if any Tier 3 Patreon folks haven't replied to the post, make sure you do, unless you just don't want to change. But to even say that, I don't want to change my day and time. I'm trying to get all of you, or just say, oh, I don't want the Zoom, you know, stuff like that. I'm going to stop bugging you guys, because I don't want to keep bugging you, but I also feel bad that some of you aren't signed up for your Zoom thing, so. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys. Thanks for showing up. It's great. I love it. All right. Well, if I see any of you during some of the sewing weekender stuff, you know, say hi. I don't know what I would see you in because it's not, none of it's live, but I signed up and I'm going to probably make my way through all the stuff today. So thanks, you guys. Have a good weekend. I'll see you Wednesday. We'll be designing the next pattern from the book, and then we'll be cutting and sewing it. So sounds good. Have a great weekend. Happy sewing. And then, you know, let me know what you're up to. You know, keep in touch. I'm finding my thing here. Okay, bye.